Welcome back to Treasures from the Purans, a treasure chest of fascinating stories from the Puran genre of Indian literature. The word Puran means ancient in Sanskrit, covering a wide range of topics, particularly legends and other traditional lore. The Purans are known for the intricate layers of symbolism depicted in their stories. Today, I bring you the story of Pururva. Sage Suta said to the sages gathered in the Namish forest, "In days of yore there was a king named Sudyumna. He was a powerful and capable king who governed his kingdom well. One day, along with a few of his ministers, he went to the forest on a hunting expedition. The hunting party successfully killed a number of animals like hares, boars, bison, buffaloes, a young elephant, a rhinoceros, wildfowl, and deer. Going deeper into the forest, the king reached the base of the Mount Sumeru. Various trees and flowering creepers all around made this part of the forest quite enchanting. There were rows of mandar trees, ashok and kunda creepers, bowers of madhuri creepers, and a variety of trees like bakul, sal, tal, champak, panas, mango, neep, madhuk, banana, pomegranate, and utica. The humming of bees and the chirping of various birds added the perfect note to the beauty all around. There were lakes and water bodies filled with swans and other aquatic birds, and along their banks were groves of bamboos, making a sweet sound as they creaked and swayed in the breeze. Struck by the beauty all around, King Sudyumna halted his horse. His vocal exclamation of wonder, however, was cut short as all of a sudden something quite unpredictable happened. The king turned into a woman and his horse into a mare. The group of sages listening to the story were astounded to hear this. "Oh, Suta," they said, "this is very strange. You had said that he was a very good king. Why then did this sudden calamity befall him?" Suta said, "This is what the king wondered too. It also struck him that in this womanly form he could not go back to his kingdom, as no one would recognize him as the king. I will now tell you the cause of this strange happening. In an earlier time, Shaunak and other sages or rishis went to this part of the forest to meet Shiva, the illuminator of the cosmos. Shiva and Parvati were engaged in amorous play, and the Devi was sitting naked on Shiva's lap. When the rishis suddenly came upon them, she was quite flustered and quickly rose to put on her clothes. The rishis realized they were intruding and immediately went away to Vishnu's abode. Shiva saw his beloved was distraught and disturbed. Together, they pronounced a unique curse on the area. Henceforth, if any male enters this part of the forest, he will immediately turn into a female, they said. And so it had been ever since. People who knew of this curse carefully avoided that area. The anxious king Sudyumna walked up to a pond and looked at his reflection in it. Seeing the beautiful womanly form that stared back at him, the name that rose to his lips was Ila, and thus it came to be that the beautiful Ila wandered around in the forest, unable to return to her earlier life. Even entering another part of the forest did not turn her back into a man. Now one day the sage Narad appeared before her, and when Ela shared with him the calamity that had befallen her, he advised her to go towards the east. "Your destiny awaits you there," he said, smiling mysteriously. It so happened that further away in the same forest was where the divine architect Vishwakarma had created a hermitage for Buddha, the story of whose birth I told you in the last episode. Buddha's father Chandra had sent him away to study under the tutelage of his own father, sage Atri. And when Buddha reached adulthood, sage Atri told him to go and live independently, following his own path. So when Ela started walking in an easterly direction, she came upon the strikingly handsome Buddha. They were both very surprised to see each other and fell instantly in love. Away from the rest of the world, they started an idyllic life together in the forest. In due course of time, a son, Pururva, was born to them. Even though Ela was quite happily immersed in her current life, thoughts of her past life as King Sudyumna made her anxious. She meditated on the king's guru, sage Vashishtha. On learning of Sudyumna's predicament, the compassionate Vashishtha sang hymns in praise of Shiva. Shiva was pleased and appeared before him to ask what he wanted. Vashishtha requested him to turn Ela back into the male form of King Sudyumna. Shiva said that since the curse was jointly given by him and Parvati, he could only bring about change in half of it. Henceforth, Sudyumna will be a man for 1 month and a woman for the next. And this cycle will continue for the rest of his life, said Shiva to Vashishtha. So it was that King Sudyumna soon returned to his palace, much to the delight of his grieving parents and subjects. From then on, for a month, Sudyumna would rule his kingdom, and then, when he turned into a woman for a month, he would live in the forest as Buddha's wife, Ela. Pururva grew up in the palace and would visit his father's hermitage occasionally. Once Pururva came of age, Sudyumna made him the king and returned to the forest to spend the rest of his life in worshipping the Devi Bhagavati. Pururva was a kind and powerful king who ruled his kingdom justly and paid great attention to the welfare of his subjects. He was charitable, dutiful, and skilled in the 4 methods of warfare, namely conciliation, giving gifts, sowing dissent, and direct conflict. People far and wide were very impressed with how well he ruled and how much he gave away in charity. His extraordinary good looks, sterling qualities, and magnanimity attracted the celestial nymph Urvashi, who had to descend to earth to spend some time there because of a curse. She approached King Pururva and expressed her wish to marry him, adding that she had some conditions. When the king asked her what they were, she pointed to the 2 lambs she had with her. "O king," she said, "my first condition is that you will have to take care of them and guard them as if they were my children. Secondly, I must not see you naked except when we make love." The king readily agreed to the conditions and they got married. Urvashi was happy to be spending her time on earth in the company of Pururva. Pururva, on the other hand, was completely besotted with her and slowly started neglecting his duties as he could not bear to be away from her even for a moment. Many years passed when one day Indra, the king of the Devatas told the Gandharvas, another kind of celestial beings, in his court, to go and steal the two lambs so that Urvashi would return to his court. My Nandan garden looks barren without the presence of Urvashi, he said. So please bring her back soon. Vishwavasu, with a few other Gandharvas, now went to the palace of King Pururva in the middle of the night and carried off the two lambs. Urvashi and Pururva were disturbed in the midst of their love-making by the bleating of the lambs in distress. An angry Urvashi said to her husband, "Look, thieves are carrying away my lambs, who are like my babies. You have broken your promise." Alas, my husband is impotent and incapable of protecting my babies, even though he boasts of his prowess. Shocked at Urvashi's anger, King Pururva ran after the Gandharvas instantly, not even stopping to put on his clothes. The Gandharvas immediately cast streaks of lightning in the room, and Urvashi's eyes fell on her naked husband. The Gandharvas, their work over, left the lambs and vanished, while a tired and naked king returned with the lambs. With both the promises broken, Urvashi returned to Indralok, even as the wailing king implored her to stay. Maddened with grief, Pururva was incapable of ruling his kingdom and wandered across the land from province to province, across farmlands and forests, bemoaning his fate. He wandered in this state for a very long time, till once, near Kurukshetra, he suddenly saw Urvashi again. "Oh, my beloved," he wailed, wait, don't leave me. I can't live without you. This body which you once embraced so lovingly will fall down here and be devoured by crows and wolves if you leave now." Seeing the distressed Pururva, who was no longer a king, Urvashi said, "O king, you really are very stupid. Don't you know that a woman can't bestow her pure, unalloyed love on no one person? Just as a wolf can't love a man. So go back to your kingdom and enjoy the pleasures of ruling. Don't waste away your life in such useless sorrow." King Pururva realized the good sense of Urvashi's advice, but could still not bring himself to get over her. He remained in the bondage of love for Urvashi for the rest of his days. "O Munis, thus ends the story of Pururva," said sage Suta to the sages gathered in Naimisharanya, or the Namish forest.